The wrapping paper was gold with tiny red snowflakes, neat corners, perfect tape lines. My mom always wrapped presents like a Hallmark commercial. I pulled the ribbon loose, peeled back the paper, and blinked at the title in bold, sarcastic font, How to Grow Up. Underneath, a cartoon woman clutched a juice box and glitter wand, bills swirling over her head like storm clouds. Across the room, my sister Claire gasped. "Oh my God, Vienna?" She held up a cream-colored envelope like it was the golden ticket to adulthood. My dad clapped. "We thought you deserved another international experience. Networking, expanding your global career." Mom nodded, misty-eyed. "You're building such a future for yourself, sweetheart." Then they turned to me. "And maybe this book can help you grow yours." I smiled. Not because it was funny, but because if I didn't, I might scream. Or cry, or flip the entire tray of cinnamon rolls, and that kind of emotional honesty would be considered the real immaturity. The book felt like a slap wrapped in glitter. The subtitle was worse. Stop being a toddler in a grown-up body. It wasn't a joke. No one laughed. No wink. No just kidding. They meant it. Claire was already halfway into a conversation about which rooftop cafe in Vienna had the best espresso views. Meanwhile, I sat with my gift, nodding politely as if I didn't feel 10 years old again, invisible in a room where everyone pretended I wasn't shrinking. And the thing is, it wasn't the first time. Last Christmas, Claire got a new MacBook for her studies. I got a laminated garage cleaning checklist, Comic Sans, color-coded with a smiley face next to sweep under tool bench. I've been the afterthought for so long, I started believing it was a personality trait. The helpful one, the cheerful one, the one who doesn't mind. And every time I say yes, to babysitting Claire's toddler every weekend, to covering her textbook fees, to quietly doing dishes after Thanksgiving while everyone else watched football, I slip further into the background. This year, they just made it official. With a paperback guide on how to be better, I didn't throw a scene. That would have proved their point. I just smiled again, sipped the lukewarm cocoa I'd made for everyone, and sat there wondering, how am I? 31 years old, but still the child in my own family? I work at a daycare. 25 preschoolers, 1 shared bathroom, 0 volume control. By noon, someone's cried, someone's peed themselves, and someone's shoved half a crayon up their nose because it looked like a rocket. My job is loud, sticky, beautiful chaos. But unlike my family, at least toddlers don't pretend to be something they're not. I also used to do kids' birthday parties on weekends. Balloons, puppet shows, glitter. 6 pairs of fairy wings lived in my closet, 1 for each theme: forest, underwater, rainbow, winter frost, sparkle storm, and emergency backup. I knew how to build a dragon from tinsel and how to make a shy kid laugh with a paper crown and a bubble wand. Claire once joked, "You're the only person I know with glitter inventory but no retirement plan." Everyone laughed. Even me. My parents never used the word clown, but it hovered in every sentence. Maybe you'll outgrow it. At least Claire's building something serious. Kids are fun, but you can't make a life out of sparkles. They said it with polite smiles, like they were giving me advice, not gutting me. But I never wore a red nose or floppy shoes, because I respect myself and the emotional fragility of children. These days, I don't do parties as often, not because I don't love them, because I don't have time. Most of my weekends now belong to my niece. Claire drops her off with a kiss and a tight schedule. Just an hour while we grab brunch. Just this Saturday. We haven't had a date night in forever. And then somehow, just this once becomes always. No pay, no thank you, just expectation. My mom says it takes a village. Apparently, I'm the entire village. The babysitter, the emergency contact, the backup pediatrician, the fairy godmother with a diaper bag and no boundaries. But I never pushed back. I thought being good meant being helpful, being needed, even when it meant being invisible. And for the longest time, I convinced myself that love was something you earned through usefulness. That staying quiet, saying yes, and showing up with a smile was maturity. That growing up meant shrinking, until that book. Until that Christmas morning. Until the moment I looked at the woman on the cover, surrounded by overdue bills and juice boxes, and realized they don't see me. Not really. They see my job title and cringe. They see my glitter and think it means I haven't grown up. They see my kindness and mistake it for permission. But what they'll never understand is, I didn't grow up to be a fairy. I grew up to be the person who makes scared kids feel safe, who turns pipe cleaners into courage and paint into power, who does more with construction paper and a glue stick than most people do in a boardroom. They never saw it, but I did. And this time, that was enough to change everything. That night, after the gifts and the fake cheer and the book that felt more like a middle finger than a stocking stuffer, I lay on my back staring at the ceiling of my rented studio. The room smelled faintly like acetone from the nail salon downstairs. A pipe clicked behind the wall. Somewhere outside, someone shouted at a dog that didn't listen. I should have been sleeping, but all I could hear was Sophie's laughter from earlier, that belly-deep, snorty giggle she makes when I use my dragon voice during puppet shows. The way her eyes lit up when I made her a reindeer out of pom-poms and pipe cleaners. That laugh, it echoed louder in my chest than anything my parents had said all day. That's when it hit me. They gave me a book called How to Grow. Up like it was clever, like it was a jab wrapped in moral high ground. But maybe, just maybe, they were right. Not in the way they meant it. Not get a real job right. Not be more like Claire right. But start acting like a grown woman who deserves respect. The kind of adult who says no. The kind who draws lines, even if it shakes the ground a little. So I sat up, brushed glitter off the floor, turned on my desk lamp, the one shaped like a mushroom that they once called juvenile. And I started writing. The first message was to Claire. Hey, just a heads up. I won't be able to keep watching Sophie every weekend starting next month. I love her, but I need some of that time back for myself. Also, I won't be contributing to tuition or travel anymore. I've got my own future to think about. Hope you understand. Simple, kind, firm. The second message was for my parents. Thanks for the book. It really made me think. That's all I wrote. I didn't explain. I didn't mention how it made me feel, because they wouldn't listen anyway, and I didn't need to defend myself for making a decision they'd never dare. To question from Claire, then I hit send, closed my laptop, and went to bed. I didn't expect a standing ovation, but I also didn't expect 6 missed calls, 2 voicemails, and a group text from my mom the next morning. We're just very surprised. This feels out of character. Please reconsider, for the sake of the family. Out of character, you know. What else is out of character? Giving your adult child a passive-aggressive self-help book as a Christmas gift. Then expecting her to keep showing up every weekend like a nanny with no schedule, no wage, and no opinion. But sure, I was the one changing. I didn't answer. Not that day. Not the next one either. Because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't just reacting. I was choosing. Choosing to grow. On my terms. And as I sipped coffee alone that Sunday, no toddler to chase, no errands to run, no favors to fulfill, I didn't feel cold, I felt calm. And that was new. The silence didn't last long. By Tuesday, the group chat lit up with messages that read more like coded alarms than real concern. Claire. Hey, just checking in. Are you okay? Mom. We're worried. This isn't like you. Dad. You've always been so dependable. Please don't shut us out. Dependable. It used to sound like a compliment. Now it felt like a leash. I didn't reply. I went to the zoo instead. It was the first Saturday I hadn't babysat Sophie in almost a year. I wore sneakers, bought overpriced cotton candy, and fed lettuce to a giraffe who seemed just as tired of people as I was. No diaper bags. No, can you keep her just a little longer? Just me. Quiet. Free. I didn't post about it. I didn't announce my independence to the world. I just kept it for myself. But apparently, peace comes with consequences. At least when you've built your whole family role around convenience. Because the following Monday, I got a voicemail from Dad. Claire's in tears. Do you know how much pressure she's under? Her sitter backed out last minute and now she's scrambling. This kind of betrayal. It's not like you. Betrayal. That was the word he used. Like I had leaked national secrets. Like I had failed some sacred vow. All I'd done was decline unpaid labor. Turns out Claire had found a replacement. Sort of, Marcus's cousin. 19. A certified sitter with a questionable online resume, a nose ring shaped like a lightning bolt, and absolutely no concept of childcare. In 6 hours, Sophie had her diaper changed once, badly, learned to shout the phrase, "screw this," during mealtime, consumed an entire can of whipped cream, directly from the nozzle. When Claire found out, she went ballistic. My mom called in full crisis mode. This is why we always relied on you. We never had to worry with you. And there it was. Not love, not gratitude, just a transactional truth laid bare. I wasn't the daughter. I was the default, the backup plan. The unpaid professional, and now that I was gone, the system was glitching. Claire sent a short text that felt like a velvet-wrapped threat. She's confused. She keeps talking about your party like it was the real one. Not helpful. I didn't even know what that meant until Sophie's daycare teacher called 2 days later. Apparently, Sophie had told the class, my mama's party was boring, my fairy auntie's party was fun. Then tried to shove one of my glitter stickers into her cubby for next time. I laughed when I heard it. I couldn't help it, but Claire didn't find it funny. That night, I got an email from my daycare director, subject line, concerning inquiry. Someone, no name given, but I didn't need to guess, had called the center anonymously, asking whether I had ever removed a child from school grounds without proper authorization. They were fishing, trying to stir up just enough suspicion to reel me back in, but I hadn't done anything wrong, and more importantly, I had proof. Every drop-off message, every RSVP, every thanks again, from Claire herself. I printed the texts, saved screenshots, compiled receipts, then I wrote one last message, short, polite, lethal. If this continues, or if my workplace receives another false inquiry, I'll be seeking legal counsel. I love Sophie, but I will not tolerate being slandered for hosting a party you approved. I hit send, took a breath, and didn't flinch when the phone buzzed again, 5 minutes later. This wasn't revenge, this was self-respect, and I was just getting started. After the message, everything went still. No calls, no requests, no guilt-laced check-ins or quick favors. The group chat stayed silent like someone had unplugged the family. At first, it felt strange, like walking into a familiar room and realizing the furniture's been rearranged. I didn't know where to step, what to expect. Then, the quiet became beautiful. No one asked me to cancel my Saturday. No one handed me a diaper bag or told me to just keep her for a few hours. For the first time in years, I had a weekend, completely to myself, and I used it. I booked the community hall 2 blocks from my apartment, the one with folding tables, 2 bright lights, and carpet that smelled like old juice boxes. I dusted off the plastic bins under my bed. Streamers, puppets, foam crowns, glitter glue, sparkly wings. I threw Sophie her own party. No RSVP list, no photographers, no pastel Instagram theme. Just her, and me. And a magic wand made from pipe. Cleaners and love. We had cupcakes with too much frosting. We built a castle out of cardboard. We made sock puppets that barked and danced. We sprayed glitter until the walls sparkled like a disco ball. And when it was over, when the last balloon had popped and the glitter had settled into every crease of the floor, she looked up at me with frosting on her cheek and whispered, "Best birthday ever." I didn't cry, I just smiled. Because that moment, that was mine. No strings, no performance, no guilt, just love. Real, simple, messy love. The next day, I got a 10-second voice message from Sophie's iPad. In the background, you could hear her little voice shouting, fairy party, no boring cake." And underneath it, faint but clear, my laugh. Her parents never knew she'd sent it, but I did. And somehow, that single moment, that pure, unfiltered joy, felt louder than all the silence that came before. For the first time in a long, long while, I didn't feel like the helper, or the babysitter, or the family's forgotten extra. I felt like the person she ran to when it really mattered. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to, and that was everything. It started with a sticker. Sophie had taken one of my glittery stars, the kind we used for puppet shows, and tried to sneak it into her cubby at daycare. She told her teacher, "It's for next time, when my fairy auntie comes back." Cute. Harmless, except Claire didn't think so. I got a vague text first. "Claire, she's confused. Keeps talking about your party like it was the real one. This isn't helpful." Then a follow-up from Mom. "Mom, your sister is upset. Sophie's asking for you nonstop. She won't stop comparing the parties. This is not okay. It was still manageable. Until someone, likely Claire or Marcus, decided to take things further." The daycare director called me into her office, gently. She looked uncomfortable. I knew that look. It's the one people wear right before they say something that's going to punch you in the gut, Rachel. Someone called the center. They asked if you'd ever taken a child off school property without parental consent. My heart didn't drop. It froze. Because that wasn't a question. That was a loaded weapon. I sat there in a room surrounded by juice boxes and paper snowflakes, and I felt like I'd been dropped into a courtroom. I hadn't done anything wrong, and I had proof. I pulled it all up. Text from Claire. "Just like last year. Thanks again. Her RSVP. Will drop. Her off around 11. My confirmation. Same location. Community hall, 2 blocks down. Even a thank you text after the party. All of it in writing." My director nodded. "Don't worry. We trust you. But you should know. Someone's stirring this up." I left work that day with my chest tight and my hands shaking. Not from guilt, from fury. They didn't just want to silence me. They wanted to ruin me. I walked home, sat at my desk, took a long breath. Then I wrote one last message. Subject: "On the record, Claire, since I'm hearing you're suggesting I took Sophie without permission, I've attached every message where you confirmed the party, drop-off time, and details. If this continues, or if my job receives any more false inquiries, I'll consult legal counsel. I love Sophie, but I will not be slandered for hosting a party you approved. No emojis. No softened language. No passive aggression. Just facts. And a boundary so sharp you could cut glass with it." I hit send, turned off my phone, and exhaled. I thought that was it. But they weren't done. 2 days later, I was rinsing glitter off a stack of plastic paint trays when I looked up, and there she was, my mother. At my workplace, full coat, perfect scarf, tight smile. The "I'm not mad, just disappointed" look in human form. "Can we talk?" she asked. "Right now?" I said, still holding a glue stick. "Just a moment," she said, stepping into the hallway. I followed. Not because I wanted to, but because I knew this moment had been coming. "Your sister's very upset," she began. "She says you're being cold." "I'm being clear," I said. She blinked. "Rachel, I know. You love this environment, but maybe it's time to think about the bigger picture. You're not a teenager anymore." I looked down at the glue stick in my hand. Then I said, softly, but without shaking, "Every day I teach my kids that their feelings matter, that they're allowed to say no, that it's okay to protect your peace." She said nothing. Just watched me like I was speaking a language she couldn't decode. "I'm not abandoning the family," I added. "I'm stepping out of unpaid servitude." I turned, walked back into the classroom. The kids were waiting. Snack time was sacred. And unlike my family, they didn't judge me for not buying plane tickets to Europe. That was the last time my mother showed up uninvited. For the first time in months, everything went still. No texts, no accusations, no pop-up guilt bombs disguised as family concern. It was a strange kind of quiet. Not cold, not hostile. Just absence. like someone had muted a constant background. Buzz I'd gotten too used to, and then, slowly, something shifted. It didn't come with an apology. It came with whispers. Small, unassuming moments that said more than any family group chat ever did. First, my cousin Jamie messaged me privately. "Hey, I saw the party photos. Sophie looked so happy. You're really good with her." Then my grandma, the one who still signs every birthday card in cursive and mails them 2 days early, called Claire to ask what happened. Claire hung up on her. That same week, DM appeared in my inbox from one of Claire's old college friends, someone I barely remembered from a Thanksgiving dinner 5 years ago. "I know it's not my place, but the way they've been talking about you lately, it's not okay. If you ever need someone to back you up, I've got receipts." It was one line, but it felt like a lifeline. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't dramatic. I wasn't just being sensitive. I was the first one to say no. And for once, the silence wasn't a punishment. It was a boundary, a wall built from truth and held up by unexpected hands. That weekend, I booked 3 new party clients, all word of mouth. All parents who had seen the photos from Sophie's real birthday and wanted something similar. Something joyful, honest, messy in the best way. One mom told me, "We've done the bounce house and the balloon animals. But this felt like magic. And for the first time, people weren't calling me childish. They were calling me booked." It's been 3 years. Sophie's 5 now. Talkative, wildly imaginative. Currently convinced she's half unicorn, half astronaut. She still wears the tutu I gave her, now faded and held together by glitter glue and magic tape. I see her. Regularly. Not because Claire wants it, but because Sophie does. And even Claire, for all her control, knows what's real when she sees it. Claire eventually finished her degree. Without my financial help, she had to cut back on travel. Say no to unpaid internships and resume polishing networking retreats. She took out loans, struggled, adapted, worked, grew up in her own way. She has a job now, not glamorous, not international, but it's hers. She's stable, grounded. No more pedestals at the dinner table, just people, trying. My parents and we maintain polite distance, holiday texts, the occasional forwarded meme. Nothing more. They never really apologized, not with words. Just silence, then guilt-laced phrases like, "Your sister's doing her best." We miss how things used to be, but here's the thing. I don't. Because my life, now, is mine. I run a small children's creative studio out of a cozy downtown space with murals on the walls and paint in the carpet. I host birthday parties that end in laughter, not politics. I have a wait list 2 months long, and a part-time assistant named Lexi who's better at balloon animals than I'll ever be. I still wear glitter, still tell stories in silly voices, still walk home with confetti in my shoes and stickers on my sleeves, but no one calls it childish anymore. They call it thriving. Sometimes I still wonder, did I go too far? Did I burn too many bridges? Then I think about how peaceful it is now, how quiet, how honest, how real. And I remember, they gave me a book called How to Grow Up. So I did, just not the way they wanted.